Okay, so even with memory colors, like we've just talked about with the grass and the skies, in a scene, no color is an absolute, even those memory colors. So if we take a quick look at this shot here, you can see it's a fairly kind of basic shot. There's nothing too much going on in there, but just take a look at the sky there. The sky we can easily boost up quite a lot, and even though that looks a little bit comic, we get away with that in context. But if I could change that just one more time and take it a bit more to the cyan, again, this also works quite nicely as a sky. And if I move here, this one works kind of maybe 50% because we've still got a lot of the yellow tones that we've got up here, so we could kind of buy that as the actual sky there as well. But if we do that same correction to the entire scene here, you can see that actually it fits in perfectly. So it is really all about context. And just to show you how different those four different skies were, we take a look at the values here, you can see there are a whole huge range of hues going, all the way from this big bright blue here all the way over to 162. It's actually it's looking a little bit more green as well, and a whole range of different saturations and brightness values. So really context is everything, as we can see when we move to the next shot. Okay, so we've finished off our first grade here. So we've made everything a lot warmer. We've spiked up those things. We've really taken out some of the distracting elements just in this corner here. But what I want to do is I want to now take us into a completely different mood. So take the same shot, yet transform it completely from where we are here, and also from where we are in the original. So as we looked at a little bit earlier, when we start to experiment with our grades, we don't want to just keep going along with the same grade. We'll take us into grade number 2 here. So this will give us a kind of blank slate. So for this one, instead of going for that sort of high contrast, fairly rich look, we're going to take things a little bit in a slightly different way. So I'm going to come in and we're just going to balance this shot out just as we did before. So luckily this shot is fairly decent. So I'm just going to come to my midtones, take those over there, take my blues slightly more in the highlights here. Okay, so once we're balanced out, now we're in that perfect zone to start getting a bit more creative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a slightly more high con look, low saturation. So come in and just take that saturation down. Just really take that down quite a bit. I'm going to take it to about 0.7. And now I'm going to crunch up using the Luma curve. So previously, all we did with the Luma curve was just add that slight kick in the shadows there, just to really deepen up those shadows and give it a bit more of a punch. But in this case, I also want to give us a bit of an S curve. So I'm going to take my balanced point here, and then just push this up very slightly. Take care, we're watching up here all the time because we don't want to go clipping. So I'm going to just pull those down really slightly there. And we'll take a look at the before and after. We've got our shot balanced, it's low saturation and high contrast punch now. When I was discussing about balance, and once we've got everything in balance here, we can now get into our sort of creative zone. And we can start to push and pull these things around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my midtones here, and we're going to be going into the bottom half of our hue wheel here. So in the first grade, we looked more in the top half. So let's take a look at that. So we went into the warmer tones here. So all of this area around here. And in this area, we're going to go now for the slightly cooler tones. So I'm going to push this down slightly towards the green, and you can see that pushing in towards the green as well. Now I could do that across the entire range, so really just push everything towards the green, but that ends up just being very monotone.